On the 16th of August, 1977, at a mansion called Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee, the most famous entertainer on earth went upstairs and never came back down. He was just 42 years old. That night, he was supposed to fly out and begin another tour. The tour would never happen. His name was Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. He had sold more records than almost anyone who ever lived, changed music forever, and made the whole world scream. But behind the gates of Graceland, the king had been slowly disappearing for years. This is the whole story of Elvis, the dirt poor twin from Tupelo, the sound that split history in two, the movies, the comeback, the jumpsuits, and the loneliness, and the truth about what really killed the king. He was born Elvis Aaron Presley on the 8th of January, 1935. In a two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi. He had a twin brother, Jesse, who was stillborn just 35 minutes before him. Elvis would grow up an only child, and his mother would never stop grieving the son she lost. His parents, Vernon and Gladys, were poor, the kind of poor where church and family were all you had. Elvis and his mother shared a bond so close it bordered on unbreakable. And in the pews of his gospel church, a shy, stuttering boy first felt what music could do. When Elvis was 13, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, chasing work. There, a white boy from the wrong side of the tracks wandered down Beale Street and fell in love with the music of Black America, gospel, blues, and rhythm and blues, soaking up a sound the radio kept segregated. In 1954, a 19-year-old truck driver walked into a small Memphis studio called Sun Records. The owner, Sam Phillips, had been searching for something new. When Elvis started fooling around with an old blues song called That's All Right, Phillips knew he had found it. With guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black, they cut a record unlike anything anyone had heard. It was a white kid singing black music with a wild, electric energy, and it detonated. Within weeks, the record was all over Memphis radio. Nobody could quite say what it was. They only knew they had never felt anything like it before. Then a man named Colonel Tom Parker took control. A ruthless showman and self-styled Colonel, Parker would manage Elvis for the rest of his life and take a staggering cut of everything. He sold Elvis's contract to RCA for $40,000, a record sum at the time. The machine was switched on. In 1956, it all exploded. Heartbreak Hotel became his first #1 hit, and Elvis went from regional sensation to national obsession almost overnight. When he sang on the Ed Sullivan Show, some 60 million Americans watched, and when he moved his hips, the country lost its mind. Teenagers shrieked, parents and preachers raged, the newspapers sneered Elvis the pelvis. By his third appearance, the cameras were ordered to film him only from the waist up. Hollywood came calling. In films like Jailhouse Rock, Elvis proved he could be a movie star, too. He dreamed of becoming the next James Dean. For a moment, it seemed the boy from Tupelo could have absolutely anything he wanted. Then, in 1958, at the very peak of his fame, the United States Army drafted him. The biggest star in the world shaved off his famous hair, put on a plain uniform, and shipped out to Germany as an ordinary soldier. But that same year brought the blow he never recovered from. His mother, Gladys, died at just 46. Elvis was inconsolable, and it was around this time in the Army that he was first handed amphetamines to stay alert on duty. A seed had been planted that would one day grow into something deadly. It was also in Germany that Elvis met a girl named Priscilla, then just 14 years old. Their relationship would unfold over the years, and eventually she would become his wife. It remains one of the more uncomfortable chapters of his story. When he came home in 1960, the Colonel pointed him straight back at Hollywood and kept him there. Over the next several years, Elvis churned out dozens of formula musicals, each one thinner than the last, the soundtracks growing weaker. The most exciting performer alive was being slowly turned into a product, and he knew it. In 1967, Elvis married Priscilla at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. 9 months later, on the 1st of February, 1968, their only child was born, a daughter, Lisa Marie. For a while, Elvis was a husband and a father. But he was restless. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones had rewritten the rules while he was making beach movies, and the king could feel himself slipping into the past. He didn't want to be a relic. He wanted his crown back. So in 1968, he risked everything on a single television special. Dressed in black leather, stripped down and raw, a leaner, hungrier Elvis reminded the world exactly who he was. The '68 comeback special was electric, and just like that, the king was back. He followed it with the best music he had made in years, songs like Suspicious Minds. The artist everyone had written off had risen from his own ashes. The comeback was complete. In 1969, Elvis opened a residency in Las Vegas that would come to define his final act. In caped white jumpsuits, backed by a full orchestra, he turned the casino showroom into a temple. The shows sold out, night after night after night. But Vegas slowly became a trap. Hundreds upon hundreds of shows, the same rooms, the same songs, the Colonel's iron grip keeping him on the treadmill. Surrounded by an entourage the press called his Memphis Mafia, Elvis was never alone, and yet more isolated than ever. To keep up the punishing pace, he leaned on pills, something to sleep, something to wake up, something to get on stage. Prescribed, legal, and handed to him by doctors, they did not look like street drugs. But the king was increasingly running on chemicals. In 1973, came the highest peak and the deepest crack at once. His concert, Aloha from Hawaii, was beamed by satellite to over 1 billion people, one of the most watched broadcasts of its kind. And that very same year, Priscilla left him. The divorce hit him hard. Behind the Graceland gates, the king's world shrank to a few dark rooms, food, television, guns, and pills through the long Memphis nights. The man who could fill any arena on earth was, more and more, profoundly alone. At the center of it was his personal physician, Dr. George Nicopolis, Dr. Nick. In just the first 8 months of 1977, he prescribed more than 10,000 doses of sedatives, amphetamines, and narcotics in Elvis's name. When you are the king, it seems, almost no one is willing to tell you no. By the mid-70s, the toll was impossible to hide. His weight ballooned, his health collapsed. Some nights he could barely finish a show. Fans watched their idol struggle on stage, and still the machine sent him back out on the road, again and again. By the summer of 1977, Elvis was exhausted and unwell, with yet another tour about to begin. On the night of the 15th of August, he was home at Graceland with his fiancée, Ginger Alden. In the early hours of the morning, he went upstairs to rest. He never came back down. Later that afternoon, on the 16th of August, 1977, Ginger found him collapsed and unresponsive on the bathroom floor. The frantic efforts to revive him failed. At 3:30 that afternoon, Elvis Presley was pronounced dead at a Memphis hospital. He was 42 years old. Within hours, the news circled the globe. Fans poured toward the gates of Graceland by the tens of thousands, weeping in the summer heat. It felt to millions like the end of an era because it was. And then came the question the whole world asked: how? The initial ruling was that his heart had simply given out, a cardiac arrhythmia, a fatal disturbance of the heartbeat. But that was never the whole story. Toxicology tests found a startling cocktail of prescription drugs in his body. For years, Elvis had been taking a punishing mix of medications, painkillers, sedatives, and more, layered on top of serious heart disease. Doctors have argued ever since over exactly how much the drugs were to blame. What is not in doubt is the enabling. The sheer volume of pills prescribed to him was staggering, and his physician would later lose his medical license over his prescribing. Out of respect for the family, the full autopsy was sealed for 50 years. But the honest picture is clear enough. This was not one sudden, dramatic blow. It was a long, slow, preventable decline. There was no grand conspiracy and no single villain. There was a sick, exhausted, over-medicated man, and a whole system built around him that kept him performing right up until his body gave out. It was not a mystery. It was a tragedy. He left behind his 9-year-old daughter, Lisa Marie, who inherited Graceland and spent her life guarding her father's memory. And he left Priscilla, who would go on to help build the Elvis legacy into something that outlived them all. His death was so sudden and so hard to accept that some fans simply refused to believe it. For decades, rumors flew that Elvis had faked his death and slipped quietly away. He hadn't, but the myth said everything about how impossible he was to let go. The numbers alone are staggering, an estimated 500 million records sold, more than almost any solo artist in history. But the real legacy is bigger than numbers. Elvis kicked open a door, and generations of artists walked through it after him. Graceland became a place of pilgrimage. In 2018, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He was, and remains, the king of rock and roll. The Presley story carried one more heartbreak. In 2023, Lisa Marie, Elvis's only child, died suddenly at just 54 from complications of an earlier surgery. Father and daughter, both gone far too soon, now rest side by side at Graceland. Elvis was neither a simple hero nor a simple villain. He built his revolution on the black music he loved, while profiting from a fame long denied to the artists who created that sound. A debt honesty demands we name. He gave the world something entirely new, and fame, and the pills, took a terrible toll in return. The true story holds all of it at once. So rest easy, Elvis. The barefoot twin from Tupelo climbed higher than anyone thought a poor boy ever could, and paid a price almost no one could survive. He changed music, and music never changed back. If this story moved you, follow a new legend every week. We've told the story of the king of pop, the voice, the poet, the people's princess, and the Black Mamba. Now the king of rock and roll. Who should we honor next? Leave a name in the comments.